Okay, hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. This is meeting the Battery Park City Committee of Community Board One. I'm Jeff Galloway, the chair. Online with us, we have several of our members, including Justine Kucha, one of our co-chairs. We have several items on the agenda, all of which relate to the Battery Park City Authority today. First item up, South Battery Park City Resiliency Project bi-monthly construction update. And Eve Bev, is that how you pronounce it?
Vivi.
Vivi.
Yes.
Ah, just like it's spelled.
Exactly. Lots of V's, lots of E's.
All right. Why don't you go ahead?
Sure. Do we have the?
Yes, sir. Give me a second.
Sure. Great. So good evening, everyone. My name is Ease Vivi. I'm the Senior Director of Infrastructure for Battery Park City Authority. I've been working on the South Battery Park City Resilience Project for the last two and a half years. I work closely with Angela Howard, who's on the last call. So we'll run through where we're currently at now on the project and what we have on the horizon. So our friends over at Thomas Pfeiffer, who is the architect for the pavilion, was kind enough to share these images with us of the completed pavilion exterior over here. Really nice work. Right now, obviously, the lawn is closed, so this was taken before that, but this is what we have to look forward to in the park for many years to come. So in terms of where we're at on the project, for those who are not aware, the project was split up into three different packages. Package 2, which was Wagner Park and the Museum of Jewish Heritage. Package 3, which was the pavilion, and Package 4, which is the Pier Plaza and the Battery area. In terms of Wagner Park, we are pretty much complete. There are some minor punch items that are remaining, and we're in administrative closeout right now. So in terms of work that has to be done for Package 2, we are pretty much done. For Package 3 on the pavilion, all of the infrastructure work on the pavilion has been completed right now. The only two spaces that we're still performing work is the classroom and the restaurant space. In both of those spaces, we are down to the punch list items. The reason why they're not fully done for use right now is because we are still working with the building department to get our occupancy permits. But in terms of the actual space, I'm going to show some images after the slide that shows what the space looks like. In terms of the Battery and Pier Plaza, that one we're about 70% done with the project. We are still aiming for the mid-2026 completion of that work. It will be a phased opening. The portion of the Battery will be completely completed, but there will be a section by Pier Plaza adjacent to Battery Place that will lag a little bit after that. In terms of where we're at, in terms of the Pier Inlet, the inlet itself, the work has been completed. The platform has also been opened. For the Pier Plaza area itself, we from the last meeting, I think Angela Howard had mentioned that we were encountering some dewatering issues with the installation of the tie gate in that area. I'm happy to say that the work that we did to alleviate that issue was successful, and we poured the top slab of the tie gate this week. So now we're pretty much just waiting for the concrete to cure, and then we're going to strip all the forms and backfill, and now we can begin work on the surface level, which involves stone and walking surfaces and landscaping. The flood wall construction itself is proceeding very well. I have a slide here that'll show you what the wall looks like now. There's some really beautiful stone being installed, and we're about, I would say, we've completed the actual structural elements of the flood wall, but the facade with the stone, we're about, I would say, about 60% done with that. So as I mentioned before, we're still aiming for that mid-2026 date for completion of package 4 work. As I mentioned prior, the lawn was closed at the beginning of the winter to to replace the sod, to fix some ponding issues that we had. And so that area has been fenced off to allow recuperation, and in the spring, that will be reopened.
And there are some times during the winter when the snow melts that we will try to open the lawn on days when it's not especially soggy.
Okay.
But during the snow and obviously while the lawn was taken, it was closed.
So the Wagner Park Pavilion Classroom will be opening very, very soon. I think people are gonna be really, really happy with the space. It's got 21-foot high ceilings in there. It's got a full AV system in there as well as a big screen. We're gonna be rolling out more information on what the programming of that space will be very, very soon. And Nick, I don't know if you had any other information you wanted to
I
add?
mean, we're just, as you can say, I know the anticipation is building. We're quite excited about it as well, as Yves had said. And again, kudos to him and Angela and the entire team for kind of driving this through to very near completion. As we said, very high ceilings, beautiful full length windows, unobstructed views of the Statue of Liberty and the Lower New York Harbor. So we're excited, to say that, you'll start seeing it come online this spring for programming, for use by the community, for events. People want to host events there as well. So we're really looking to have this be a very active and kind of exciting new addition to the public spaces available to the community. So really excited about it. Some of the pictures you can see there, the Pavilion Classroom's print on the window. And the picture on the far right actually went down there today. That's a view of it looking south up toward where the museum would be. But it's really quite a stunning space, and we're excited to get everyone in there as soon as we.
Is it a single room?
Yes.
There are some supporting spaces adjacent to it, like there's a bathroom specifically for the community room, as well as a little like pantry area. And then there is a storage area underneath, but that's more so to just store the additional items.
So wait, can I
Okay,
ask a question? The classroom, that's the public space for the community, right? Just so I have it
Correct.
straight in my head. And the other side's the restaurant, right?
Yeah, that's the term classroom is what we're using for the community room. So over here, you're looking at the area by Pier Inlet. This area was previously closed, and it has been reopened to the public right now. You're looking at some of the econ concrete structures underneath there, as well as the plantings in that area as well. So right now, you can walk all the way through this area and loop back around up the South LA.
Now, I've noticed, and you can see in this slide on sort of the lower left-hand corner, it's kind of a funny surface. It looks a little bit like some sort of Star Wars ship or something.
Yeah.
Is there a function to that?
Yeah, so basically the e-concrete structures were designed to be able to allow marine life to grow on them. So those shapes that you see on there are meant to encourage wildlife to kind of build homes and build algae and essentially create a biodiversity area. So here's another look at what you were just describing before. So the idea is that hopefully, we have this area kind of have grown over, over several years where, where you have, all sorts of marine life and maybe even birds may decide to make their nest there. It's really meant to make this area be as eco-friendly as possible. And this concrete is specialized concrete that is non-corrosive to animals. So yeah, and after looking up top, that's the platform itself. It was open. I believe right now it might be temporarily closed due to all the snow and ice on there right now. But once that is all cleared, that will be reopened. So this is a view as well from the platform, looking at pier rates itself and into the inlet.
I thank Eves for indulging me. This was an extraordinary and special picture I took, and I'm so proud of it. He'll let me put it in his presentation. But it really is just, it's a beautiful picture, I'm saying, it's a beautiful view. So that's perspective of looking back toward Pier A, and I guess Battery Park would be on the, behind Pier A on the right.
Yes.
Yeah, I've been out on it a few times before it was closed off. It is
Quite
very
nice.
space.
Really nice to kind of get out over the water, which was something we didn't have there before. So thanks, Eves.
So just to give everybody some perspective, this is not where we're at right now, but I wanted to include this slide just to show everybody the extent of the work that had to be done. So this is an 84-inch outfall right in front of Pier A Plaza itself. This outfall is a CSO, which is a combined sewer outfall. So it is pretty gross in there. So we had to go into this. So part of the issue that we were encountering that caused some delays on this aspect of the project was that this excavation, it was hard for us to keep the excavation dry. All of the water from the Hudson was going back into this excavation, as well as the groundwater as well. So we had to do what's called jet grouting, which is to pump grout into all of the soil around this tide gate to essentially prevent water from infiltrating inside. So thankfully that operation worked, which is why you can see these guys in there right now. Well, not right now, but when this picture was done. And right now what they're doing right now is actually removing blockage, because when we excavated this and cut the pipe, this outfall was completely blocked. So we had to spend several weeks to kind of empty this out so that you can establish flow.
Quick question, when you say this is the end of Pier A, like in the front, or what do you mean where? Just,
So it's right
I'm
in front of
curious.
here. So if you were standing in front of the Pier A front entrance, this would be a giant hole right in front of the entrance. It's right in front of it.
Thank you.
No problem. So this is where we're at right now currently. What you're looking at is former all around. The base was already poured, the walls were already poured. The tie gate itself has already been installed. It's been reconnected. DEP has actually already been out and inspected the work. So what they're working on right now is the former for the top slab, which was poured this week. So once this work is completed, we can backfill this entire hole.
You can pour concrete at these current temperatures?
Yes, we have additives in the concrete so that it can cure without any issues.
And one more question, are these tide gates things you're gonna have to get back into to service or look at or anything, or is it gonna be sealed over and not touched for 20 years or something?
No, so the tide gates are a passive system, so that in the event that we do have some sort of major storm event, that they will prevent water from going back in. That being said, there is a component of the tide gates that does have to be manually deployed. And that deployment is really meant to just lock in tide gates so that it does not go the other way. But it does not need to be manually deployed. But there will be regular O&M, as with any piece of infrastructure that you put into the ground, just to make sure that everything is working appropriately over the years.
So it has access manhole?
Yes, there will be a manhole opening on the top.
Where's awesome?
So what you're looking at over here is installation of the stone on the flood wall. As I mentioned, the structural elements of the flood wall are 100% completed and installed. And right now we're working on installation of the facade. Fortunately, it is very intricate, slow work to kind of get all of these angles just right and to have all of the spacing just right. So we're making sure that that there are no abnormalities once this is all done. But this is essentially where we're at right now with the flood wall.
That's one. What building is that?
Yeah, that's the
One water, one battery?
I think it's.
Is that how I'm looking at it?
That's what the-
I'm looking, no, at the end of,
So you're in the battery right now, facing battery place on the other side of this wall.
Yeah.
The highway's over here.
Yeah,
Yes, highway's up to your, left.
left.
Yeah. Right in front of you is Battery Place.
Yep.
Have the deployable portions of the flood wall been installed yet?
They have been for the Wagner Park portion of the project, not for
The battery.
the battery yet.
Justin,
Can I
you
ask
have
a
a
question? May
Yes, go
I?
ahead.
Thank you,
Yes.
sorry. So this is, what is this cup? So the wall itself, that's the flood wall, is what's behind, right? They look, I'm gonna call them cinder blocks. They're not, but they're larger rectangles. And then this top is, you call it cladding. What material is that?
It's stone, it's granite, I believe.
It looks like granite. And
Yeah.
from here, it looks lovely. Is this something that we can put into the walls as we go along for our, the permanent walls that are going to be there? Obviously not the deployables, but that would be something
mean the
to
north
make a
top, right?
note. Yeah, I mean, this is a lot of granite and a lot of work, but it looks like it's decorative, not
It is
structural.
It is decorative, and part of the reason why there was an effort to make this kind of as nice as it could possibly be is because this portion of the flood alignment is a relatively tall wall.
Yeah.
So rather than just having, a giant slab of concrete, we tried to beautify it as best as we possibly could.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think that as we go north, we're going to be kidding some 12-foot, 16-foot walls, if I'm not wrong. I could be wrong with the height. But anyway, it's just nice to know you can do it. Thank you.
Bro. So over here, you're looking at the installation of the flip-up gates. The flip-up gates in this portion of the project are much larger than the ones that were included in the battery and along first place. You're looking at them being installed right now, and that's where they are matching up with the concrete flood wall that we just described before. So that portion of the wall that you see on the top left will also be clad in that same stone.
Cool.
So, and then obviously this is in the deployed position right now. When it's in normal use, these will be down and it would just look like pavers on the ground. So that's all I got in terms of my update. Does anybody have any additional questions?
You mentioned a phased opening for those various things that are not yet, the flood wall portion, the plaza portion and whatnot. What are those phases and when? So should we expect to see open first and when would that be? And
So pretty much the section of the battery beyond Peary Plaza will be open. There will be a portion of the Peary Plaza itself that will be open. Right now, what we're trying to iron out is what exactly are those dimensions and what does the flow pedestrian traffic look like in those areas. We are exploring some opportunities right now to see if there's any way that we can accelerate that work to be able to make access flow a little bit easier. We have not finalized that yet, but once we have, we will share that.
I think as I think you recognize by what you just said, the access to Battery Park from someplace other than State Street would be nice to have sooner rather than later, especially as the Battery Wharf Coastal Resiliency Project is nearing completion. It would be nice to have as much access to the park, coming from Battery Park City direction as quickly as possible.
Yeah, no, we're absolutely trying to optimize that as best as possible. It is unfortunately a relatively tight area to do a lot of work that we have to do, and there's only so many bodies you can throw at it before it starts to impact quality of work. So we're trying to be a little creative in how we can speed things up.
We have other questions online? I don't see any.
Timmy had a question about the timeline for the plaza section of Pier A. And if it's on time, if you're still on the same timeline and.
So we're still targeting the middle of the year. Where that falls exactly on what month and what days, we're still trying to figure out right now, but the idea is to have it, the middle of the year.
Yeah, I think, it's been a while since I've spoken with Tammy about that issue, but I think a lot of it is what I was just referring to is, of course, we'd like to see everything done, but it is also,
Yeah.
as soon as possible, getting meaningful access to the park itself and not be completely obstructed, so you have to go all the way around the way you do now. Would be great value.
Yeah, well, I mean, so, for part of the issue, you know, so we were really excited about the fact that the dewatering worked and we were able
Yeah.
to, you know, to do well. And then unfortunately, this big storm and the cold conditions have really impacted productivity. So we're kind of fighting against that right now. But hopefully the weather warms up a little bit in the next few weeks and we can, you know, make up a lot of that time.
Not soon, no, this weekend.
No, not.
A somewhat related timing question is, when will it be operational as a flood protection system? You know, it's, most of the passive stuff is there and will perform that function now, but there are the deployables that are not quite done and so forth. Do you have a time frame of when it would actually function completely as for its flood protection purposes?
If you're talking about all the way from the very tip of the battery, all the way through to first place, we're probably looking closer to the fall,
Okay.
because we have to test all of that. Like, it'll be online, and, you know, God forbid there was an emergency, we probably would be able to deploy it, but we want to make sure that we test everything appropriately and make sure that there are no, you know, gaps or anything that has to be addressed. But the infrastructure itself, the goal is to have it all in by the middle of the year and then go through all of our testing and trainings and all of that.
And in terms of since this is so close to being deployed, I don't remember if we had an answer to this before, but who is actually going to deploy it? Is it Battery Park City Authority? Is it DEP? Is it, who does that? Who pays for it?
Yeah, so we're still working with DEP on those details. For the time being right now, I believe we will be doing any immediate deployment as we work through kind of our conversations with the DEP.
And Nick, do you know whether the authority is budgeting for the operation of the resiliency projects in Battery Park City as opposed to, you know, a city?
In terms of maintenance,
Maintenance and
as
operation.
far as I understand, we build it, we're gonna maintain it, but that's my understanding.
One reason
If down the road there's a decision that the city is going to kind of absorb this as part of one overall system, I don't know. That may be a discussion that happens in subsequent budgets, but as I understand it, we are budgeted to build it, and then we build it, we maintain it. Similar to the north, and we'll be able to speak to this, for the parts that go outside Battery Park City, we're still responsible for those parts, even though it's outside Battery Park City, because it's part of our flood protection system.
Very
This
good.
would be a dumb question.
Yeah.
Is the battery part of the Battery Park City Authority's purview?
The portion the portion that Eves just went through, the wall
Yeah.
along the top half is
Right in
part of
front
our
of-
project.
That's the continued wall.
Yes, that comes from across PRA Plaza.
Okay.
The Battery Wharf is not us.
But we'll just put a little asterisk. It is not on Battery Park City
Property.
property. We are
Yes.
constructing the flood barrier cement, and there is an agreement, you know, for us to maintain the berm that is gonna be installed along Battery Place, but it's not necessarily on.
But that's,
Yeah.
you guys are working together
Yes,
to create this, so
Yes.
there's some sort of agreement of together.
yes,
Yeah.
You just don't know the agreement of who's paying.
paying for,
Well, the paying for building it, it's obviously the authority, but it's the reason I'm raising the operation expenses is that EDC put out one of its periodic reports, and one page in there dealt with funding for the operation and maintenance of the resiliency projects as a whole. It wasn't specific to the Battery Park City ones, and maybe it even intended to exclude them, but at least for the projects as a whole, they mentioned that they were looking into creating a special assessment district where the local property owners and whatever would be assessed to pay for the maintenance and operation of the various projects around the city, including the Lower Manhattan ones. And I don't know if that's something that the authority has had any discussions about, or whether your sections of the project will be part of some sort of assessment district, or that it just comes out of Battery Park City Authority funding revenue stream to maintain.
Yeah, I mean, I know conversations are being held, but there's nothing really that's been concrete or decided as of right now.
Okay. Any other questions online? I don't see any. Do we have any? See them in the local public?
No hands up.
All right, well, thank you. This is very, very interesting, and I hope we meet the schedule. Now that the major problems are out of
That's
the way.
right. Fingers crossed.
Fingers and toes.
I missed that part. I was like, when's the schedule?
We're looking at the middle of the year for the package for Pier Plaza, the Battery area.
But pieces of it will be.
It'll be a phased opening.
So Jeff, we'll, if it makes sense to you, we'll slot our next update for, I guess, April.
Yeah.
Unless we have the agenda packed, in which case maybe we go to May, but next time we come back to you, I think we should have, a firmer sense.
Oh, absolutely. You'll have a lot, yeah.
Okay, that sounds good.
And that keeps us on my month, my monthly schedule.
Yeah. All right.
So I'm gonna spring Eves if that's.
That's fine. Yeah,
Thank you very much.
thank you for coming by.
Thank you.
You all enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you too.
You too.
Thank you so much. Sorry. I was on mute and I was yelling. Thank you.
Thanks.
Good night. So Nick, is Dan doing?
Yeah, Dan is online. I'll just kind of set the table here.
What deck are we?
It's not a deck, it's gonna just talk through, it's kind of a teaser. So what we had discussed at this committee, I believe it was last we met was December, there being no meeting in January. And that itself was a conversation that grew out of, I'm not gonna steal Dan's thunder, he'll go through a little bit. Conversations we had in board previously was opportunities for either seating options or community gathering options or planting pallet type decisions that we might make or have conversations around, specifically at the Albany Street end, and at the Rector Place end. I preface this by saying this would be work that would not happen until the tail end of the project or once the project itself is complete, so probably 2030, 2031, so we're still some years out. Nonetheless, it was something that the community had expressed interest in. We thought it made sense to have the conversation since you're all interested in doing it. So in the spirit of trying to strike while the iron's hot, we said, let's try to have that conversation. So what we have done, and we discussed this a little bit at the CAC last week, was we had booked a session for next Wednesday, the 11th. I brought flyers here. You have it. You've seen it in the broadsheet and elsewhere. It's going to be the first of what we envision to be maybe 3 sessions, so sure Dan can go into it, where we kind of just set the stage about like, hey, here are some ideas that we have for what these strands may look like. We're not talking about, a massive, investment of funds, but to the extent that there is some interest to begin to recreate or enhance some of those public seating options, we thought it might make sense to have those conversations in person, especially with the buildings that are literally right around the area. So the Gateway, Johnson Towers, Liberty Houses, Liberty Terrace, and up and down Rector and Albany Streets. So with that, I just wanted to, Dan, kind of give a little bit of a teaser tonight and we can jump into it with some more tactile materials on Tuesday and then thereafter. Go ahead, Dan. Does that make sense?
Thanks. Of course. No, you could have done the whole thing. Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. Well, thanks for the opportunity to have some of the oxygen in the room, even though I'm not there personally. But my name is Dan Dixon. I'm the Director of Planning and Design at BPCA. I'm also the design manager on the Northwest project. So if there's any questions about that, I'm happy to field them. But really the point of being here tonight is to get some free advertising for this event next Wednesday. building a resiliency project has a lot of engineering involved in it, obviously, but I'm happy to celebrate the design opportunities when we have them. And especially at the Albany Street and Rector Place street ends on the dry side of the wall, there's now an opportunity based on some engineering work that had to be done. There's an opportunity now to rethink what that public realm space looks like. And so I thought, and this has been something that we've discussed internally and something that we've heard from CB1 also, to wanting to voice some input. So we're happy to have, we're envisioning 3 sessions. Next week will be the first one. It'll be kind of like a design charrette, if anyone's familiar with that term. Kind of an open opportunity for people to voice what they'd like to see there, be it seating or shading or landscaping or art installations, etc. So at this point, it's kind of an open-ended brainstorming session. There are some constraints because there are tide gates at those street ends, so our ability to go below grade in terms of foundations is somewhat limited. But really, it's kind of a blank canvas at this point. So we're happy to hear some ideas. So come one, come all, next Wednesday, 6 p.m. at 200 Rector. Everyone's welcome. And there will be, and for those who can't make it in person, we'll also have a survey. And so even the people who attend can take the survey and give us some ideas.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea to get have these community charrettes. It's great to have the presentations at the community board as well. But sort of having sessions in people's backyards for the people who are really going to be directly affected by what's at these street ends, I think is a good idea. So this is going to be in your space at 200 Rector? Is that where?
Yes, the 200 Rector Place Community Room, where the Allied Universal Command
Right.
Center is. We'll put some signage up there as well. But it's a nice space, a little more intimate, I think, than 6 River Terrace as well, so it's kind of.
Well, it's closer to where we're doing this.
And it's literally in the south, right? It's
Yeah.
a block away from, I think, a lot of the buildings we want to make sure we're hearing from. Not that everyone is welcome, but especially those buildings along Rector and Albany, right? The Sound Games, Hudson View, East and West, Hudson Tower, Gateway,
And
et cetera.
are you distributing these to the
Those are the
Building.
lobby of each building,
okay, good.
and in the broadsheet and on social media as well. There will also, I will note it's in my report as well, that we have our next Northwest Battery Park City Resiliency bi-weekly construction newsletter, which, by the way, is a hot ticket. I'll let you know. Everyone is clamoring to get subscribed to it. We'll be pushing it out. That's going out Monday. We'll be bumping it out then again as well. Okay, and then what we'll do is, go ahead, after Wednesday, then maybe we're gonna try and set a date maybe in late March, 6 weeks or so. We'll kind of come back, what we heard, kind of do a second session, and then maybe like a final, like, here's what we've all discussed. My guess is that would lead into the community board, opining on it in the form of a resolution of some sort.
So Justine, you had a question or comment?
Just have a thing, just to ask, when you have the flyer for the next Wednesday's thing, if you just flip me a copy, then I'll send it off to the homeowners coalition folks. This way, I'll do that for you and send it out to the boards.
I will text it to you now.
Yeah, if you could send me one too, Nick, I think, if you haven't already.
Yep.
So we can get it out to the Gateway tenants, email list, as well.
Yes.
Speaking of the street ends, I think I ask this all the time, and you maybe give me the answer all the time, but I keep forgetting it. In terms of the timeline of the work that's going on now on Albany and Rector, when the Tidegate work was, I guess, first presented to us back in the fall sometime, I think the idea was to basically start Rector at a point in time when Albany was completed. But I also kind of remember that Rector was going to start sometime in around the March timeframe or something like that. So I guess what's the latest on the schedule of both?
Yes,
completion?
yes. Thanks for that question. The schedule has been delayed somewhat due to some late DEP permitting issues. But now that permits are in place for Albany, we're starting that work in earnest. My understanding is, yes, I think the Rector Place work should start sometime in March. And I don't anticipate that slipping right now, but we'll notice that if that does occur.
Will that
And-
overlap, which I think is what Jeff's question was, will that overlap with Albany?
Yeah, we anticipate the work at both street ends to be about 6 months total, at each. And so probably, we're mobilizing now at Albany, obviously. So that will have a head start, but both are anticipated to be about 6 months each.
Okay. And in terms of Rector, do you think you're going to be successful in keeping pedestrian access open at that street end during the construction?
That's a great question. I'm not sure that we've arrived at whether we can keep access open or not. I think it depends on how much space they need for the work to be performed. So if it's okay with you, we'll get back to you with that answer.
I would say broadly and thematically that's the goal.
Yeah.
To try to make sure that we're preserving public spaces in many ways, shapes and forms. Sometimes it gets up against reality and engineering like necessity, but that is the goal. That's the stated goal, and we're gonna try to push to see if we can do that, especially with Albany now not being.
Right, that's, I think it is a high priority to have some access, as long as the Esplanade is open.
Yes.
Some access other than simply Liberty and West Thames.
Right, one block extra in a direction is one thing. If then it becomes 3 blocks in the direction, it's something else.
Now, and speaking of the Esplanade being closed, I know I ask these questions all the time as well. Do you have an updated estimate on when any portion of the Esplanade will be closed for the construction proper? And kind of related, which section of the Esplanade is expected to close first?
Dan, can I phone a friend?
Yes, you can. I was just trying to pull up some materials to give you a more accurate answer. Let's see. South Esplanade work will begin obviously this summer, but it won't be the entire stretch. So it'll be phased work. The whole Esplanade will not be closed for the whole duration. But unfortunately, I don't have a very specific timeline to give you right now. We can get back to you about that.
And speaking very parochial, I can't even whatever that word is. I putting my Gateway Tenants hat on. I know the work is going to take a long time out in front of Gateway because that whole platform needs to be reconstructed. When is that work anticipated to start? At least Gateway Management believes that will start sometime in the fall at the earliest, but I'm not sure they have the most up-to-date information. Does that sound right, or is that likely to be starting in the summertime or later than the fall for that matter?
You know what? I don't have that exact date for you. I'm going to have to get back to you about that. To be quite honest, the whole schedule is kind of in flux because we've been dealing with some of these permitting issues, but we can get back to you about exact dates.
Yeah.
Apologies for not having that now.
And Jeff, this is Rami. How are you? I know you've asked for this, and it's been a priority of ours to get this information. As Dan said, that I keep asking them, "What's the deal? What's the schedule?" So they know that we're on top of it and trying to get that to you. But as Dan said, it's still a bit in flux, and as soon as we have that, we're going to start incorporating into the website and make sure you know it. So noted.
That'd be helpful. I mean, one practical reason I'm asking the question is that the Tenants Board recently had a meeting with management of Gateway, the landlord management company. And some of the amenities at the building they anticipate closing during construction of the wall outside of the flood wall outside of Gateway, such as the pool and portion of what's called the North Lawn. They were not anticipating closing those areas this summer. They were anticipating next summer is when that would be closed. And so part of the reason I'm asking the question is just to get a sense of, will those amenities be open or
No,
closed
that's
this
it.
coming summer?
It's an excellent question, a completely fair ask, and I also think backing out from that, there's probably a date certain by which Gateway needs, and by extension, you need that answer, so they need to know whether or not they need to push up their schedule or keep it.
Yeah,
So we will do that, and we will get it. One of the benefits, I think, of having our bi-weekly newsletter, which, believe it or not, we put a lot of time into trying to make sure that it's updated each time, is that it keeps us on task on,
Yeah.
as soon as we finish one, we're actually starting the next one to try to make sure that we have the schedule, so we'll continue updating that, but even in the interim, if there are things that we have between newsletters, or if we need to pick up a phone, we will keep you updated with it, but we continue to push, I know Dan does as well. And it's not a matter of anybody not wanting to say it, it's just, we don't wanna commit to something and then be able to, miss it by quite a bit.
Yeah. I mean, some of these are things that we can and have been dealing with in the CAC meeting.
Right.
And some of them are kind of microscopic and may not take up time at the CAC meeting.
Right. Right.
And, along those lines, I know we've anticipated keeping the Kowski Dog Run, Serious Dog Run, open throughout construction, but I know there's also been discussions about safety and practicality, since it may be something of a isolated island of non-construction in the middle of
Right.
construction. Certainly safety takes priority, but to the extent that it can remain open, even if it is something of an island,
Yeah,
I think would be important to the
it
residents.
would be helpful.
That's helpful, okay. That's actually, that's really good to know. Okay.
Any other questions for Dan or for the?
We have a
Northwest?
question or a hand raised from an attendee.
Oh, I can't see.
The benefit of being online. Tom
Oh, yes.
Anguilla?
Yeah,
Oh, hey, Tom.
I think you can unmute yourself now.
Hi, are you able to hear me?
Yes,
Yeah.
we can.
Great. So I have two questions. One is for Dan Dixon, and then one is for Nick. So I'll go with Dan first. Dan, I live in Liberty House on Rector Place, and I was just curious. I heard you mention earlier that the floodgate is expected to project that's expected to start in March sometime and takes 6 months roughly. Separate from that, and in my mind, there's a distinction between the floodgate work and then the full-blown resiliency work. So my question to you is, separate from the floodgate, is there a timeline or an expectation for when you think the full-blown resilience work will take place in the area surrounding Liberty House and Rector Place?
Yeah, that's a great question. And just a semantic twist there. It's actually a tide gate, not a floodgate, that we're
Oh, okay,
working on
sorry.
at Rector. And the reason why we're starting that first, we're calling it phase one work or site readiness work, is because there's a lot of unknowns. Once you go into the ground, you don't know exactly what conditions you're going to find with these pipes. So you want to start that work early in case there's complications and delays, kind of like what Yves was talking about with the PRA Plaza work. So that work is anticipated to start in March at Rector Place, which will be the second tag gate, as I'm sure you're aware, at the end of Rector Place. And that will stretch approximately 6 months. And then, like I said, I can't speak to exactly when the phase two work or the actual flood barrier system construction will begin. South Esplanade, generally we're aiming for second quarter 2026. So it may actually even overlap a little bit with that tide gate work.
So second quarter 2026. Okay.
This summer.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks, Dan. So Nick, I have a question for you, Nick.
Yes.
Justine and Marianne and I were on the members of the Battery Park City Homeowners Coalition, and we sent a letter to you and Raju Mann. Just curious if if you received it, and what's your timeline for responding?
This is one that came in, was it last week, week before?
It was about a week ago or so, I'd say, yeah.
Okay, I got it, and I sent it along to the team, let me re-up it. Let me re-up, I know it came in right before we did, I think right before we did the CAC.
Correct.
Right,
Yeah.
so we flagged it for the group. I will follow up with you.
And
Okay.
also, if I may,
Thank you.
Rami, I don't have your
Yes.
email address. So if it's possible to share that, I bet you Zach has it, but I don't have it. So
Yeah.
otherwise you would have been copied too.
Yeah, absolutely. See if we can put in the
Okay.
chat.
I can send it to you.
Yeah, Zach knows how to get in touch with me.
So Dan Dixon, you said that the Rector Place resiliency work is possibly expected to start in the second quarter of 2026.
That's right.
That's April, May, June. That's the second quarter. So that's much sooner than I had previously heard. I thought
So that's
I had heard all different types of start
so
dates on that.
yeah, I understand the confusion there. That's the whole South Esplanade work. So if you're talking about a specific point, it will be phased work. So the entire Esplanade is not going to shut down in the second quarter of 2026, but some work will start at some point along South Esplanade, and we can get back to
Oh,
you
okay.
with dates right outside of Liberty House. I can get back to you with those dates.
So second quarter 2006 could be, down at the tip of where this Esplanade is, and then or it could be someplace else. I get it. Okay, so yeah,
That's right.
it would be greatly appreciated if you can provide those of us who live in Rector Place, if you can give us a timeline and essentially when that full-blown resiliency work is going to really impact us.
Happy to. Happy to.
Building level
Thank you.
precision is not something we're very keen on. I was texting Karen about this last week as well, so yes, once we have a sense of what the world's gonna look like outside your door as opposed to outside your door, but down the Esplanade piece, I know that makes a big difference to people who live there, so we'll get it to you.
Thank you. Thank you both. I don't have
Yeah.
any further questions. Thanks.
Thank you, Tom.
All right, I don't see any other hands raised. Okay, all right, well, thank you, Dan, and Rami and Nick, and Michael for being here. So let's move on to, I see Patrick is actually online. I know you've had a little bit of a cold, Patrick. And let's put up his, next report and then get to Pat's.
Is he the best? Pat's the best.
Right? Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Pat, for joining. You know, it's okay.
Pat, is that your voice?
Can you hear me now?
Now we can hear you. Okay, I thought you were whispering. Oh my goodness. Okay, yes, we can hear you, Pat.
Well, let's see. I stepped off a cruise ship and I turned around and wanted to step back on. So
Here.
Okay, there you go, Pat. We get a twofer now, so you get the December over December numbers and the January over January numbers. Go ahead, Pat, take it away.
okay, so for graffiti in December, compared to last year, we only had one. The homeless reports, we had 29 homeless reports compared to 8 in 2024. Lost and found is 0. The park rules, there was only 2. Vendors, naturally, 0. And the dogs, we only had 2 reports for 2025 in December. Going for the month of January, graffiti, we had 0. And in 2024, we had 13. For homeless reports, 24, we had 5. In 24, we had 5. In 2025, we had 14. And in 26, we have 7. Lost and found was just one thing. Park rules. This year for January we had 2. Last year was 3. And the vendors is 0. And for the dogs, last year was 3. This year 4. The one positive note I can bring to this meeting is I was able to hire 5 peace officers. So that'll bring us up to 8 peace officers now on site.
That's great.
Excellent. Thank you, Pat. That's wonderful. How did that happen? You were able to hire them from outside or they got trained?
They were already trained. They were at another site, another allied site, and that site was actually going down, and they were going to have to step down to a different position. And I scooped up and offered them my site, and they jumped at my site.
Nice.
That's great, Pat. Glad you were able
Yeah.
to do that.
Pat Murphy,
Yeah,
always
very-
keeping around
Very
the battery.
proactive. Thank you.
Very kind.
Any questions for Pat? Can't see online.
See that, I'm going to say Nikhil Wah online.
Yes.
Okay. Should be able to unmute yourself.
No, they lowered their hand.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can.
I just wanted to ask to get some more details about those peace officers. What hours do they work? You know, where exactly do their work? I mean, what kind of, you know, for lack of a better term, beat do they walk on and you know that kind of thing? Just to understand what their, you know, how they operate, where they operate, and what their the full purview of their responsibilities are.
So now with the added peace officers, we have peace officers on every shift. So they're out there, they're in a supervisory role, so they are inspecting the safety ambassadors out there. The safety ambassadors can reach out to them if they see like a dog off the leash. The main issue with the dogs is that the peace officer actually has to physically observe it. Okay. That's part of the issue with it. The peace officers are also turned around and doing relief. And they're also in the community center.
That's high school.
Oh, it's.
For the gentleman who's calling in,
Yeah,
this is part
he's
of the
back
first-
again. I think it echoes, Nikhil, if I may say that. So I think you have control to turn yourself on and off with the mute. So when Pat's speaking, maybe go on mute again. But if you've got another question, follow up.
Yeah, I just wanted to follow up. So my other question about these peace officers is that, you know, I think typically if there's an issue around the building, I think the instinct of the tenants will be to first alert the doorman or the concierge at the front desk. So are all the doormen at the various buildings, do they have a direct line to these, you know, peace officers? How exactly does that work? Just understanding the kind of line of communication and the chain of command there.
Okay, the way the contract is set up is that we deal with the parks and everything outside, not with the interior of the building. But all the doormen in the area do have our command center telephone number, and we have responded, and the supervisors have walked in to lobbies and asked, and it's usually about a homeless person being in there or somebody that's intoxicated and walked into the wrong building. And they'll just ask them to leave. The idea that when they see somebody in uniform, they'll leave. But if it goes beyond that, the safety ambassador or the supervisor or peace officer will turn around and say to the doorman, you need to call 911. Okay, it all comes down to the way the contract is designed, and the insurance that we have is based on the contract.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
That's helpful to have that distinction. Yeah.
Yeah. So just so you know, Jeff, Marianne, Braverman's got her hand raised, and then Michelle online has got their hand raised. I assume you want Marianne first.
Yes, Mary Ann. Thanks, Justine.
Thank you. Patrick, if I'm outside and I see a dog relieving itself and the owner does not pick it up, I want that person to get a ticket so it's clear that they did the wrong thing. The peace officer is not going to see it happening. If I have a photo of, it won't be a video probably, but I may get a photo of it and the person and the dog. Can they approach that person? I mean, they could certainly approach the person and speak to them about their behavior, but maybe they can't give a ticket unless they physically are present when it happens.
They physically have to be present when it happens. They have to observe it, but obviously they can always approach somebody and have a conversation with that individual and say the next time you can get a ticket.
And seriously, I mean, an upstanding citizen's witness report, maybe with a photograph, isn't good enough, huh? Not even for the police, I guess.
Police won't write it either. Believe me, they won't write it either. It's the way the law. It's the way they drafted.
Okay.
We could write a ticket.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, Michelle, you can unmute yourself. Michelle?
Michelle, unmute yourself.
Hi, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Hi, real quick question. There are some safety concerns that I have just, now that I never had before. If you want to go out in the evening, let's say you have to run to the deli or something, 10 o'clock, even 11 o'clock at night, or, in the middle of the night, while I might be trying to sleep, clearly not in the snow right now, but there have been quite a number of incidents where there are people who are either not mentally well or whatever's going on, and they're screaming, and it goes on for very long periods of time, and I really don't know who to call. I don't know who to call if I see someone just walking down the street who is frightening looking or not right in the head, and I literally will run to the deli and then run back home, and it's never been that way, but it's that way now. So is there a direct number somehow that someone can call if there is a situation where there is a perceived threat or something happening right outside our window at 2 a.m, and I'm not going to go out and face somebody, I don't know who it is. So what do we do? I used to be able to call before Allied, I forgot who it was that was here, but we used to be able to call them and they would go out and look. So what's the equivalent now, or is there not? Or what do we do?
Michelle, let me start and then I'll hand it over to Pat. This is Nick Bordone from Battery Park
Hi,
City
Nick.
Authority.
Hi, Nick.
Hi. The number is 212-945-7233, or the very convenient 212-945-SAFE. That's 7.
And what is that? What is that?
That's the phone number to the Allied Universal Command Center. It's 24/7, 365 operation. They're headquartered in 200 Rector. We just talked about the address earlier. That's the headquarters where, when Pat is on site, he's there, his office is there, and also the ambassadors and the peace officers are headquartered. One of the things we also bring up, which comes up every now and again, but it actually reminds me now we should bring it up more often because people are always caught unawares in a good way. You can call the ambassadors for an escort service. So if you want to go out in the middle of the night or 11 o'clock just to take a walk at Bodega, you can call the 212-945-7233 number, and have an ambassador come and walk you back and forth to where you're going, or if you get home at, late one evening from, a cross service and you want to walk home, you can call the ambassadors for that service as well. If there is someone, and I'm out of my depth here, perhaps I'll turn it over to Pat momentarily. If you see someone legitimately causing a risk to themselves or someone else, the best thing I would recommend is to always err on the side of caution and dial 911. That would likely be what the ambassador would do in a dangerous situation. But if it's more along the lines of a quality of life or something where you want to make sure you have an extra set of eyes and ears with you, you can call the ambassador services, which is again a 24/7, 365 operation, and they can come help you out. Pat, what did I miss?
No, it sounds like you covered everything. I always say if you think something's a threat, call 911. Right away. We do have a scan at the command center, so we'll even hear the 911 call go across when they put it out to a sector car. So we'll also respond.
So that number is 945-7233. Did I hear you right?
Yes, 212-945-7233.
7233, okay.
All right, any more questions?
No, I don't see anybody else listed. And Michelle, just anybody else who's listening, just put it, save it in your phone under Allied or something, and this way you can call. That's how I do it. It's just there in my contacts.
So Nick, you're up.
Okay. Let me go back to my, it's so funny, Justine, you said that, and I said, let me check my phone and make sure the number's in my phone, and sure enough. 212-945-7233. Okay. There's a picture outside, actually from our office, so you would see that's the southern stretch there of Battery Park City taken last week, and that was after the storm of the 25th and 26th, so it was quite something. I'm using that to set the stage for what I wanted to do at the top here, was just give some kudos and attention to our wonderful parks operations team, who, as many of you know, is out there every day maintaining our parks and public spaces to the world-class standards we all come to know and love, but especially during the storm operation. They were out early, I think on some mornings as early as 3 a.m. getting ready for the day. I threw some details in here, but the long and the short of it is we had 2 storm events in the course of a week. The 18th, 19th was a little bit less, 1 to 3 inches, but still not nothing. And then we had the big whopper the weekend before last. We were out there, we had with 17,000 pounds of de-icer. We had cleared all the parks paths and curb cuts and pathways through the parks, and including the Hudson River Greenway, which is right next to the eastern boundary there, and then the bike lane as well. So they run parallel to each other between where like West Thames Park is and 9A, those 2 pathways. That's all cleared as well. I do realize, and I'm thinking of Betty here in a conversation we had earlier in the week, I realize it's not perfect because there are areas outside the jurisdiction of Battery Park City Authority, technically not in the parks, but like around some of the commercial buildings or whatnot, which I know it could be a challenge getting around for folks, especially. So not perfect, but I do want to give a heads up to, I know our team that did a great job clearing the path and pedestrian pathways that we are responsible of. It's probably 5 miles of paths and parkways, all things considered. So I just wanted to give a shout out to the team there. That I linked there at the bottom, a post we did some years ago that talks about not only how we have really advanced snow clearing operations, but how they are all also done in a sustainable manner in keeping with the Battery Park City's green legacy.
Nick, can I ask you a question about that, or not even that? But bottom line is, you are correct. You have, well, the authority has responsibility for some places, and certainly the park, the Esplanade, and all that. And thank you to the parks folks. Thank you to getting that cleaned up. On the sidewalks, so on the roads and the sidewalks, that is the responsibility of each individual condo building. Is that correct? Or residential building or commercial building? How does that work?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And
Yes.
is there a way to send out a note to the people and remind them that they have to do it? Because not every, and I think Betty, you may have brought this up, but I don't know who did. but, not every building cleaned. And then, of course, you get to the street, the curb cuts, and they're not clean. And
For sure, there are buildings that you're seeing, I would do the same, but yes, let us know and I can reach out to the building. I mean, you can, if it's your building, you can certainly let your building know, but yes, roughly speaking, if it's public park or parkland that is adjacent to, if it's a sidewalk or a curb cut or, a street that's adjacent to a park, then that's where we're gonna clean that, right? So like anything that goes onto the Esplanade or that is, along parks within Battery Park City, we would clear out.
no,
But if
you
it's
guys do a great job. It's
sidewalk
not.
that opens up to South End Avenue, no, the building needs to clear its sidewalks and its curb cuts. And that's the case all throughout Battery Park City. Property owners are responsible for clearing the sidewalks adjacent to their properties.
It'd be nice, I guess my ask would be is if we find places, we can tell you, the authority, and then the authority can go like knock on their door or make a phone call and say, hey, guys, you got to clean the street. Because my building's fine, but there
Yeah.
are other buildings that are not.
Send me a note, we can send a nudge, and by and large, I think buildings are very good, but yes, there are, people miss a spot or there's a, you wanna make
This was
sure
a-
that
this was
people
a-
are, safely.
This
And
was a
while.
challenging storm. Yeah, this was a challenging storm. So it's still been so cold that but if you didn't get it, you're kind of in a mess now because it's solid ice.
Yeah.
But thank you.
Yes, for sure. Anything else on that end, or can we move on?
No, I just want to also say that I appreciate the way you guys do the cleaning in your sustainable way. It's someone who has to walk a dog through all of that stuff. I mean, I appreciate why the buildings throw all the salt all over the place and DOT does it on or sanitation does it on the streets. But that can be murder for the dogs to walk along. And although you guys use a little bit of salt here and there, by and large you don't.
It's a more sustainable type of substance.
And it's more pleasant to walk through as well as
Right.
easier.
Good point, Jeff.
Well, thank you. Yeah, Ryan Torres, who is our Parks Operations Vice President, it's wonderful. She comes roughly once a year to get kind of a spring preview. But I'll make sure we relay it to her and the team. They were out there working hard.
And they were out in that freezing weather very early. I was feeling sorry for them. They were doing a lot of hard work out there.
Thank you, Jeff. It's nice to hear. Yeah, thank you. All right, so I'll just run through a couple of quick upcoming items. Our annual art exhibition, as you may know, opened on Sunday. It is available for viewing in person each Wednesday of the month through the 25th. I put 2 to 4, but I actually might have got that wrong. I'm sorry. I think it's 4 to 6. It's a typo, but it's linked there. Also, I've linked the virtual art exhibition video, which is on our YouTube channel. So you can click there if you don't want to go out in the cold weather or, freeze to death on your way back and forth. You can watch a video of all the art. And as a reminder for those who may be joining us the first time, this is an exhibition of the artwork that participants in Battery Park City Authority's art programs make across the course of the year. So it's a figure drawing, a nature drawing, and the whole range of art programs that we run. Really nice to see, and some of it is really quite exquisite. We have a Valentine's Day making workshop. We do that every year. That's coming up this Sunday. And then we have our Immigrant Stories film series. The description is there, but that's part of the film series that we run over the course of the year. A big one, really excited about. I mean, we're excited about all of it, but New York Glass is coming to Six River Terrace. That's on Thursday, the 26th. It's in celebration of Black History Month, but we have some really top tier talent coming. So please come and enjoy that if you'd like on the 26th. And then at the start of March, I'm including it only because it'll be right when I come to you next. We have the Tilly the Terrible is a movie for children, but it's really fun, and that's coming up on the March 7th. Okay, running through this here, we touched on this earlier, but we have picked up again our Battery Park City Northwest Resiliency drop-ins. You'll recall we started these in the fall in November and December. We took a break for the holidays. We picked them up again this week. We'll be back there tomorrow. So as a reminder, it's Tuesdays through March 27th, 12 noon at Six River Terrace. So we hit the north part of the neighborhood. And then it's Fridays through March 24th. The first one picks up tomorrow. That's 10 a.m. at 200 Rector Place. Again, the 200 Rector Place community room. And if you haven't already, I've included conveniently the QR code, but you can sign up for our bi-weekly construction newsletters. I've hyperlinked all the back issues there. Next week will be going out Monday, the 9th. This is a reflection perhaps and a wish for warmer climes, but in the bottom right, you'll see a picture of Wagner Park lawn. As a reminder, on days when it's not, sub-zero or otherwise covered with snow or soggy, we are aiming to keep Wagner lawn open a little bit this winter, even in advance of the full lawn openings in the spring. The lawns that are open for the balance of the winter are listed there at the bottom, including Rocky Park North, Teardrop North and South, the Irish Travel Motor lawns, and the West Thames Park turf lawn, which of course is covered with snow, but nonetheless open. And then very briefly, just to wrap it up here, another plug for our Northwest Albany and Rector Street ends discussion on Wednesday night. It's in the broadsheet as well, like I said, the CAC, in building lobbies, and Jeff and Justine, I texted it to you all as well. So please help spread the word. That'll be the first in what we think will be a series of probably three of those meetings. And then a plug obviously to join the BPCA team, with a link to our employment page, and that was it. Okay.
Questions?
Thank you, Nick.
Of course, thank you.
Thank you.
Any?
I don't
Double
see
check,
any
see.
online, and I don't see anybody, online. I don't see any hands raised.
Okay. Well, that is the end of our agenda. We should be all happy that we have had a short and sweet meeting tonight. Now we can go out into the cold. Thank you, everyone, for attending, and we will see you all next month.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everyone.
Thanks,
Thank
everybody.
you.